Hello, welcome back. We are still in the middle of Aria, and if I actually read it correctly, we are literally in the middle. Because there's apparently 20 stages if I read correctly, so that doesn't quite correlate with that, but we'll see. Either way, we'll just see what happens. Selena. That's a name we haven't heard in a while. Story-wise, I mean. Oh, you seem to have taken a beating. It's not my fault. Caught off guard, the white strikehawk is lifted by the ominous black monster. But right then, his last bullet hits the monster's chest that is emitting faint blue light. Only the crisp cracking can be heard as the Hedro creature's chest splinters. Pieces of black Hedropolymers slide down like shards of glass. Buried within the Hedro creature, a broken figure emerges from within. It was a strange yet familiar figure. Where had you seen her before? At this time, Wanshi's previously languid eyes open wide as he stares at the Hedro creature in the middle of the lake. It was her, all along. The construct that went missing from the space station. This is what the Ascendants did to her. It was in the middle of the siren? That's not what I expected. What a disgrace. She's the construct that went missing? I came across her file while looking through the scout team's database, so I took note of it. I didn't expect that the next time I would see her would be here of all places. My mission as a scout is to gather, integrate, and report intel. Prior to the last battle against the Ascendants, each member of the scout team knew all of the intel of them by heart. We all know that an Ascendant by the name of Gabriel took a construct from Babylonia. But as for what purpose or necessity this served, that has always remained a mystery. Now the mystery is solved. There's a Hedro core fragment here. Suffering a heavy blow, the Hedro creature remains kneeling by the shore of the red tide as punishing virus gathers in the air, about to repair its body. Is it all over? A monster like this won't go down without a fight. I'll buy you some time. Get out of here. Pick up the note. Wait, what are you doing? What are you planning on doing with the domain node? Authorization complete. Node activated. Looking around, you barely make it to high ground and avoid being corrupted by the punishing virus. What are we trying to do? Aside from where you stand, the red tide inundates the surrounding area and ravenous Hedro creatures occupy the area up ahead. You cannot find any secure place to deploy the node up until Babylonia receives the signal. Give it to me. Hurry back. I dragged you into this mess. If you can't even make it back. Not like I can get very far without you. True that. My bad. Not to mention all of the Hedro creatures. You're as good as that without the protection of a construct. God damn it. Why did I have to go kick the hornet's nest after arriving on the surface? You aren't much better though, always throwing your life away for complete strangers. The Hedro creature in the middle of the lake seems to realize the crisis at hand. What creature? Siren? As it roars and struggles, the monster drags its body toward you in preparation for another attack. There's no time to avoid it. Faced with potential death, your body rushes with adrenaline. Then the faces of the people you have met along the way flash before your eyes. All the questions that could not be answered at first were answered at this moment. Were they? For example, what do you think of that blue planet? Not this again. The equatorial radius is 6,378.1 37 kilometers. It rotates from west to east and revolves around the sun. It is the third innermost planet of the solar system. We have nothing left. Our only driving force left is our attachment to this land. It's the only thing that supports our menial existence. Our last wish is to forever rest within its embrace. Standing here, we can look back on the glory of the past and see the tombstones of our old friends. We were born here. We will die here. Humanity is bound to its homeland by the gravitational force known as love. Why had those on the surface not come to Babylonia? What sort of life would they have had on the surface? What would people on the surface think of us? Enough with the hypocrisy. Is this really in our best interest? Or do you just not want to see us die before your very eyes? Look at you. Your conscience is just as repulsive as your actions. Removing us from our homeland will make you sleep better at night, but it won't make our lives any better. Don't you think it's ridiculous to tell us that we are also citizens of the world government? Don't you remember how you treated us when the evacuation started? You held us at gunpoint to rent us from boarding Eden. You left us behind like junk. Now you dare to come back and rescue us? Are you kidding me? Get out. Get out of here. I don't need your fake compassion now. Because I see weakness and timidity in your eyes. When all of this is over, you will probably blame your incompetence and live with a heavy sense of guilt. So I want to tell you, don't. Don't feel any guilt. We've chosen our own path. You have completed your mission. All right, that's enough. One day we will reunite with our comrades on the surface. When that time comes, we will share in the marvelous things we have seen and rejoice in song. Nothing is more romantic, is it not? Looking at this and being like, yeah, nothing is more romantic is very fitting. A voice from the bottom of your heart crosses time and space to answer the unknown girl's question. Is she so unknown though? So before we all share all the marvelous things we have seen and rejoice in song, it would be disgraceful to end with such hatred and tragedy. So you must at least protect the note until the very end. I'm still not sure what we are trying to achieve here. Embrace this idea and hold the long black needle tightly in your arms. Close eyes. You just hear the sound of a frame being crushed. What are you doing, Wanshi? Opening your eyes, you see Wanshi protecting you. Is his blood purple or what is that? The Hydro creature pierces his right arm, causing a fountain of vital fluid to spurt from the wound. Is this vital fluid actually purple? Don't worry, constructs aren't that weak. If you're injured, your team and my captain will hold me accountable. But enough of that for now. The strong sense of fear and helplessness causes your legs to go weak. As if in a daze, you catch a glimpse of a broken heart, like that of the broken figure buried within the monster's chest. Her eyes are as empty as when you first saw her. Her exposed chest shines with uncharacteristic brightness as faint blue light shimmers beneath it. I'm still wondering how she even fit into a literal skeleton. Or is her chest the actual chest of the skeleton? I don't know. The Hydro creature's chest is within reach. The girl's remains, which you could only catch a glimpse of before, are now in full view. The moment you see her face, your mind becomes clouded with confusion. Could she still be alive like this? Is she dreaming? Where else would she know? Will she show such a look of pain? Wanshi is still struggling in front of you. Now's not the time with such nonsense, but your train of thought begins to spiral out of control. You and the other 3 Grey Ravens are at a standstill in the center of the airtight space station. Excuse me, is that Grey Raven down there? Who are you? Oh, wait, is that Miss Isla? Yes, I'm Isla, a member of the 2nd Archaeology team. Why is she here? Liv Lee, do you know her? She's a very popular young artist in Babylonia. Murray likes to go to her exhibitions. I like Miss Isla's work too. I've been wanting to meet you too, especially... I should probably talk about that later. I've got more important things to tell you. My mission here is to rescue a construct named... She means a lot to me. The task forces have all heard about the heroic deeds of the Grey Ravens at the Ascendance base. I've even heard about them in Babylonia. If you've been in direct contact with the Ascendants, have you seen the Ascendant who attacked me on the space station? Never mind, he's not important. The only thing I care about is whether you found any sign of her in the base. Who do you mean by her? You've met her before in the space station. She's my best friend. Her name is... The Hedro creature's blade is still stuck in Wanshi's shoulder. Wanshi holds it down firmly, giving the monster no chance to retract it. Right at that moment, you react before you have time to process it. Rush forward, holding the remain node. What are we... I'm trying to figure out what we're trying to do. We're not trying to blast away the siren, are we? That wouldn't make much sense. You managed to finally collect your scattered fragments of your memory. You met her on the space station. She's my best friend. Her name is... Yes? Do we get it? Finally? Selena. The voice of Ayla in your memory suddenly synchronizes with yours. Blurting out the name causes the Hedro creature to stop in its tracks. Oh, well that worked. It unleashes a sad and forlorn cry. The girl in the center of its chest moves faintly. Her lifeless eyes return focus. Oh no. Well, that's good and bad, I guess. At the same time, the punishing virus seems to repair the Hedro creature at a diminishing rate. It is at that moment you understand that the solemn whale song and steel thorns that bind her were the last struggles of the girl within the Hedro creature. Her voice module was already completely destroyed. Whenever she moves her lips, she is unable to produce any sound, so she struggles to stretch out her disfigured hand from within the Hedro creature. Wait, I'm sorry, but did she even have arms left? I don't remember exactly. However, there are no need for words. The moment your eyes meet, you sense each other's true intention. All that is left for each of you is to complete the final mission. Grey Raven, come in. Grey Raven, do you copy? We've got a survival situation here. Sounds like Mr. Strikehawk has finally stopped acting all indolent. What's all the panic? Your commandant. Commandant? What's wrong with the commandant? Relax, your commandant is fine. The protective device is critical though. Still, we have enough serum. Sorry, I got a little out of hand. We don't have time to get into this right now. Commander Hans just activated the last bit domain node and Babylonia is approaching in orbit to begin the attack. Tell me you are evacuating with our commandant. Don't worry, we just escaped from the lion's den. Lion's den? Did you run into trouble? Wanshi remains silent for a moment, then continues. I'm not sure, but I think it was the source of the red tide. What makes you think that? The abnormally high punishing concentration it had, the strong desire for self-preservation, and the behavior of the surrounding Hedro creature. It was like a hive, similar to that on Earth. It's difficult to describe it with words. I'll transmit my readings and statics to you now. Statics? Okay. Data received. Is this a Hedro creature? He looks at the Hedro creature in the image and frowns. It's exactly what you said. Are you still collecting combat data? I'm a sniper. A sniper is the person responsible for observing the battlefield and collecting data. Just answer the question. So what did you do? Don't tell me you found the source and just ran away. It wasn't me. It was your commandant. Your commandant stabbed the bit domain node right into it. Right at the last second. The commandant did that? Babylonia has established a coordinate system and is heading over to us to prepare for the orbital strike. But now that the 4th bit domain node has been activated, there's still hope for redemption. If you catch my drift. Lee nods solemnly. Understood. What's the situation with you and the commandant? Well, for me, there are problems everywhere, but my mind is still stable and corruption is below the threshold. I just need to take a load off. Now's not the time for that. Keep that in mind. Jeez, I was just joking. I'm not laughing. Once you bring the commandant back safely, then you can crack jokes. Got it. Are you still able to escort the commandant? I'm more than capable of protecting a human. Understood. I prepare the camp. Prepare your frame when you get back. Also, thank you for protecting our commandant. You should thank your commandant for the data you're looking at right now. Your commandant risked death in order to acquire data that's satisfactory for both sides. If the chief commander can be persuaded to inform Babylonia to launch a precision strike, all of our problems will be solved. This is your mission. Don't let your commandant's effort go to waste. Understood. Liv, it's urgent. I need you to run calculation and generate a model. Chief Commander Hans. What is it this time, Grey Ravens? Babylonia is about to reach us in orbit. We'll receive orders to retreat in less than half an hour. We just received news that our commandant is returning to camp. I don't care about any news regarding that fugitive. Tell your commander not to do anything stupid. Commandant still has time to make it back through the flank and evacuate in time. Our commandant knows what to do, which is why we're here again. The commandant encountered a massive Hydro creature during the operation. The Strikehawk consort collected a large amount of relevant data during the battle. Based on the data, Liv from our team modeled the evolution of the Red Tide. Go on. Lee activates the terminal and projects the hologram for Hans to see. This is a gradient map of the punishing virus compiled by the Strikehawk while exploring the source of the Red Tide. As you can see, the punishing concentration of the Red Tide increases along with depth. This area is at its peak. Lee points to the last picture sent by Wanshi. It is a lake composed of sanguine red tide located in the center of the hologram, and to the image of the ominous black Hydro creature. After just a glance, Hans nods. I see. Turn it off. Lee nods and replaces the hologram with the original data model. Also, this is a flow map of the red tide. The core cluster is situated in the center of the flow map. Here the red tide increases flow outward and spreads just like a heart pumping blood throughout the entire body. Finally, this is a statistical model on the behavior pattern of Hydro creature in the core region. We've established that the red tide spreads when the Hydro creatures make that noise. Get to the point. The red tide has a source, and this Hydro creature is the culprit for spreading the red tide. By eliminating it, we can finally put an end to the red tide and solve all of our problems. The commandant took the most logical course of action by jamming the last bit domain node into the Hydro creature. Babylonia will be overhead soon. I will apply for a revision to the attack plan, thereby focusing the Longinus arsenal on the bit domain node deployed by the commandant. What makes you think that this will put a stop to the red tide? Lee suddenly lowers his voice. I am not sure, but Chief Commander, you have higher authority. You should be aware of the CTO's speculations regarding the red tide's origin. It's a vestige of the Hydro core. According to the records of our operations against the Hydro core on the space station, it's impossible to destroy such an entity with wide-scale strike. What I present to you is only objective facts and data. A wide-scale strike was never an insurance plan to start with. combining various factors such as atmospheric thickness, scattering rate, Babylonia's firepower, and punishing virus activity. The Longinus arsenal may look impressive, but we can't ensure that it will be a success. The blast will be dispersed over too great of an area, thereby reducing the strength of the laser's power. But if we launch a precision strike, it's like stabbing a needle directly into the enemy's heart to stop it from beating. After that, all we have to do is deal with the body. As you said before, Chief Commander Hans, now is not the time to hesitate. Time is of the essence. Please make a decision, Chief Commander Hans. Hans turns his head. Connect me to Babylonia. Contact HQ and transfer me to President Hassan. Transfer complete, Commander Hans. How's it going on the ground, Hans? Change of plans. The Grey Raven Commander broke protocol and discovered a large Hydro creature similar to the one we encountered in the ruins of 075. The data we received from the Commandant indicates that the nature of the creature is similar to that of a polyphag. Oh, he knows about that. I'm surprised, actually. Judging from the flowing punishing energy, this Hydro creature is likely to be the source of the red tide. The Grey Raven Commandant planted the last bit domain node into the Hydro creature. I've applied the change from a wide-scale attack to a precision strike to focus all our attack power on the Hydro creature, thereby ensuring the elimination of the red tide. Before Hassan can respond, a voice interrupts him. Hans, you have overstepped authority as Chief Commander. Babylonia is in charge of formulating a battle plan, not you. Well, actually it was Lee, but you know. Once the plan has been finalized, you are only responsible for executing it. Understood, Commander. The Science Council has concluded that a wide-scale attack is our best option. We can't guarantee that we will completely eliminate the red tide, but that's a safe strategy. Mr. President, the Science Council didn't have our current data when formulating this plan. I think it's time to make a reasonable contingency plan? I'm not sure. Based on the new data. The battlefield is unpredictable. I'm just making the best judgment based on the current situation. You don't have any ulterior motives. Transmit the data. I'll have Asimov analyze it now. Put me through to Asimov. Transfer complete, Mr. President. Asimov, this is data sent by troops on the front line. What do you think? Asimov appears on the comm link half asleep. After squinting at the data for some time, he suddenly perks up. Interesting. Very interesting. Looks like the 4th bit domain node is key to all of this. You think so? The troops on the front line have requested to switch from a wide-scale attack to a precision strike on the 4th bit domain node. On a case-by-case basis, their judgment is reasonable based on the model they've transmitted back. I first speculated that a hetero creature of so many hetero things, my god. I first speculated that the heterocore fragment in the polyphag was the origin of the red tide. I just couldn't understand why the red tide continued to spread after the polyphag disappeared. Turns out it found a new source of power. This data sure is interesting. Asimov, this is not the time to indulge in research. Pardon me, Mr. President. Is it feasible to change a plan on such short notice? Objectively speaking, little is known about the red tide. Whether we launch a wide-scale area attack or precision strike, it's a gamble either way. We just came to the conclusion that a wide-scale attack was our safest course of action. A gamble, you say? Understood. Think it over. One wrong step will lead straight into the abyss. Not for you, but the whole world. Since it's a gamble either way, I don't mind choosing the more humane option. Put me through to Chief Commander Hans. Hans. Yes, Mr. President? Request granted. When Babylonia passes overhead, we will launch a precision strike with the Longest arsenal on the bit domain node deployed by the Grey Ravens, once we have finished calibrating the coordinates. I relay the orders to all of the Quantzers under my command immediately. I'm not finished, Hans. After the first attack, we will wait for 20 minutes to observe the effect. If it is ineffective in stemming the red tide, we will launch a second attack. However, this time it will wipe out the area indiscriminately with a wide-scale attack. 2 consecutive attacks will consume 90% of Babylonia's energy supply, compromising Babylonia's anti-air defenses. You know what this means, but I think it's worth it. As you said before, the people on the surface are our comrades. Isn't that contradictory though, because the wide-scale attack will wipe out said comrades? Whatever. You not only need to relay the updated battle plan, but also issue a retreat. Lead your calibration team to safety. Understood. I still feel like we're missing something, but okay. Eternity in an hour? Well, that sounds like a poem I've heard somewhere. Every time she gazes at the blue planet, she has an inexplicable feeling in her heart. The blue planet known as Earth is said to be the cradle of mankind. But in reality, she never regarded the planet as her home. Well, she wasn't born there, should that make sense? See? After all, she has been living among the clouds and stars since her birth. Her parents, who were once residents of Earth, never shied away from sharing stories with her about the former glories of mankind. They said that it was an era of human ignorance. Well, that's fitting. It was an era of human courage. It was an era when mankind was full of longing for all the beauty of the universe. She could not understand the true meaning of these words, but she could feel the sincerity hidden deep within their hearts. Pride, sentiment, and lingering pain. Like a somber needle stabbing at her heart. So she inevitably began to yearn for the blue planet. All who lay eyes on a blue planet cannot help become enchanted by its beauty. Even while quietly viewing from afar through the observation filter in Babylonia, the softest nerve in your heart will be affected by it. The storms described in stories do not exist in Babylonia, only on the blue planet. Rainbows described in stories do not exist in Babylonia, only on the blue planet. Actually, I feel like artificial rainbows should or not, shouldn't they appear whenever light reflects? Whatever. I'm not going to speculate on that. Why did humanity wish to free themselves from the shackles of gravity so urgently? She had such doubts. Flowers are a rare sight in Babylonia. Precious resources are not allowed to be wasted on flora solely for the purpose of viewing. Such fantastical things can only exist in photo albums and stories. If possible, she wants to see a sunrise with her own eyes. She wants to see stars spread across the night sky with her own eyes. She wants to see rainfall from a river with her own eyes. She wants to see snowflakes cover the ground in a blanket of white with her own eyes. The changing of seasons, the waxing and waning of the moon, the thunder in spring and the rustling pines in winter. Fields of various grains, grassy hillsides where sheep frolic, verdant fields waving in the wind, banks where golden flowers grow, flocks of goldfinches, lush vineyards, barren seashores. If what is portrayed in story really exists, she really wanted to see it with her own eyes. Silence. How long has it been? She could not remember. What seemed like only a brief moment also felt like an eternity. An eternity in an hour. Selena. The pain that keeps pressing her heart stops suddenly upon hearing this name called out. The moment she opens her eyes, she recalls what all had happened. That sounds unpleasant in her case. The original promise was now a nightmare. What she wants to protect has become the source of sin. At first, she only wanted to inherit the legacy of her companions. But why has she ended up here? She knows within her heart what to do now. Embracing the black needle left by the familiar yet strange human, she thrusts it into her own power source. Let everything end here. Looking up, she seems to catch a glimpse of skylight. At that moment, all of her misery fades away. Is this what looking up at the sky from the surface of Earth feels like? It's so beautiful that people forget fear, pain, and hatred. Bathed in the brilliance, she feels like everything is gradually evaporating away. Before everything disappears, a poem left by the Golden Age suddenly appears in her chaotic and collapsing mind. I can't imagine which one it is. To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. Her remains lay quietly on the dry, scorched earth. The remnants of the scattered red tide squirmed toward her like maggots. Part of the red tide once again attaches to her remains, absorbing her strength in preparation to condense her remains into the monster from before. One foot steps onto the red tide. The deadly red tide ripples like a puddle beneath her foot. I am so confused. Does she have an actual body? Or are we talking about the siren at this point? She stops, lowers her eyes, and looks down at the broken remains, as if observing a small flower poking out from within a crack in a rock. If the light words are scattered by the wind. As if she had received some response, she leans down and extends her hand toward the blue light on the chest of the remains. The disfigured body trembles violently. The Hydro creature, bound to Selena, seems to receive instructions. Standing in a savage posture of growing ferocity, it suddenly turns into a surging red liquid, plentiful and flowing, gradually fading from Selena's body. She does have a body. She raises her finger as if to... I assume that's meant to be brush. Brush aside the messy hair around the ears of the reborn girl. However, she does not touch her, even up until she finally retracts her hand. The hetero core fragment turns to powder in her hands. She leaves without looking back. We're just reading story now. No more gameplay. Cradle of Immortality. She only wants to tell you all the miracles she saw along the journey. What journey? The sun probes on the eastern horizon. The morning glow pierces the darkness and fades to black upon reaching this far. An invisible boundary divides the sky. The distant east shines with the first rays of morning, warm and bright, yet the sky above remains cloaked in darkness, cold and deep. This is a race toward the rising sun. Under the guidance of the Strike Hawk, you flee the deep and distant darkness as you set out for the bright and warm horizon. In the blue sky, there suddenly appears a beam of light more dazzling than the sun, like a meteor plummeting at your back. Before you can turn your head, you hear Wanshi. Don't look back. Keep going. Don't look back. Continue onward. Cross that boundary and do not look back. Whether that be the Hydro creature or the broken figure within, leave them both behind. I feel like we won't. It seems that as long as you do not think about it, The heavy sense of guilt will not overwhelm you. On the way back, the desert is still and lifeless. Without the whale song, the red tide is now a stagnant pool. Knowing everything that went into this, your pace becomes increasingly burdensome. Among the haze, you see 3 familiar figures standing on a familiar hill in the distance. Before you can speak, Lucia rushes forward and hugs you tightly. Commandant! Commandant! You feel her trembling. Don't ever do that again. No matter what. Don't ever go at it alone. Well, I wasn't strictly speaking alone. Surviving this ordeal should have filled you with joy, but now there's only grief. Looking around, you see Lee and Liv standing solemnly to the side. Only Lucia is here, holding you tightly. When choosing to act alone, you never seem to consider their feelings. You feel as if they should be capable of understanding your intentions. At this moment, you deeply understand one thing. You should not risk your life as long as they are around. Good idea. I feel awful. I'm sorry. Commandant, you really need to reflect on how you left without saying goodbye. The look on Liv's face remained serious briefly before softening. You need to cherish yourself. Lee looks you over steadily. Without saying a word, he seems to understand everything. He pats you on the shoulder. Tired? Get some rest. We'll talk about the report later. I don't think this is over yet. I've compiled a report on the specific matters of the Grey Raven's violations during this operation. I'll submit it to Babylonia when the time comes. Regardless of the final outcome, it's an established fact that we acted without regard to the instructions of HQ. Looks like this time we'll be tied up in military court for a while. Afraid? We'll always be right there with you, Commandant. We've got nothing to fear as long as you're here. There's one more thing. Regarding the refugees. He pauses in thought before continuing slowly. Most of them have still chosen to stay. However, some have decided to leave. Considering that there aren't that many people, the temporary facilities will suffice, even if the conservation area on the surface is incomplete. Babylonia will soon dispatch a transport craft to relocate them. What about the others? Honestly, this environment has already become inhospitable for humans. Even though the red tide has stopped spreading, the remaining punishing virus has blocked their access to nearby cities. They won't be able to hold out much longer here. But if they choose to stay, all we can do is respect their decision. So all of this was for nothing. If consequentialism is the deciding factor, then most of the actions in the world are meaningless. Not everything can be judged based solely on the number of survivors written in the report. Lee's right. I don't think what you did was meaningless at all. Commandant, you stood up for their hopes and dreams. The fact that you fought until the last minute is precisely why both sides were able to come to a mutual understanding. Mutual understanding. Closing your eyes, your mind fills with the image of the broken figure's almost carefree smile after taking over the bit domain node. With your thoughts still in disarray, you are unable to conjure up a response to the 3 people before you. You cannot help but look to the scout who, like yourself, knows what really happened. After undergoing emergency maintenance, Wanshi is now quietly lying on a haystack with his eyes closed, as he basks in a sunbeam. He appears to be fast asleep. For a moment you do not know whether to think about if constructs actually need sleep or to call him over. After some consideration, you decide not to rush over and awake him. Having crossed such rugged terrain, a short respite is warranted. Regardless of the struggles on Earth, nothing will affect the eternal migration of stars. This planet has always been like this, equally cruel, equally compassionate. It seldom rains in the desert, but when it does, the sky is as clear and transparent as a mirror. The moist dust cannot be lifted by the roaring wind yet. At this moment, everyone stops to appreciate the beauty of the stillness. Hans, dressed in his starched and pressed military uniform, stands quietly outside the camp. The surrounding scenery is embraced by a brilliant, transparent silence. Now standing here, he can finally overlook the distant, sparkling coastline. Wait, I thought it was very far away. What? Was it really just the weather? He hears a rustling of footsteps from behind. Hans does not look back. The old man walks up to Hans and gazes off into the distance with him. Why didn't you retreat? Hans closes his eyes. It's been a long time since I've seen a sunrise. After a few moments, Hans realizes that he has not been on the surface in nearly 10 years. Like a soul without a home, exiled by the atmosphere and gravity, drifting in low Earth orbit. Now the children of Babylonia have forgotten about the Golden Age. They forgot where they came from and how their culture was born. They opened their eyes among the stars. For them, Earth is no different from the moon. We tell them that Earth is our home, but we can't tell them why. Soon, everything will become a fragment of history. If I had to choose, I wouldn't leave. But as a soldier, he had no choice. Those who survive must continue the dreams of the dead. Only the living can see tomorrow. Only the living can exact revenge. Only the living can have hope. No matter how painful, no matter how unwilling, even if he has to destroy what he truly wants, he must leave. Should we not feel guilty? I think not. This burden of guilt nearly crushes him beneath its weight. But it will also become a chain that binds him to the battlefield, forcing him to continue facing all hell before him. Until he dies, he will fight his way. No matter how disgraceful and despised by others, he will fight until his heart stops and shatters to pieces. Only he himself knows that he's not the unyielding pine others saw him as. Rather, he's just a tombstone that refuses to topple. Should he crumble, the glory of the Golden Age engraved on him will become dust in the long river of time, never to return. The man in his starched and pressed uniform leaves. Now only the old man remains standing, gazing off into the distant sea. I am still confused why the sea is suddenly right beside us, apparently. At this age, can you still feel sorrow? In a trance, he seems to hear the sound of waves. Must be his imagination. Or are we talking about the sea of sand? I'm so confused at this point. From this distance, even the ocean breeze would be unable to carry the sound this far. This is only a residual sound from his memory. He slowly takes a seat on the ground. In the blue sky, several black spots suddenly appear. Those must be the transport craft sent by Babylonia to pick them up. The old man glances back at the camp. Some people had come out of their homes, mostly young children. The lost boy is leaning against his grandmother and waving at the old man. The old man turns to wave back. Grow up big and strong, he says almost inaudibly. Life is full of all kinds of farewells. People he had come to know left his world one by one. Regardless of those he loved and hated, they are already gone. This was just another farewell. He cannot leave this land. Many others cannot leave either. Some people will be bound to their home time all their lives. Those who are about to leave and those who choose to stay say goodbye to each other, but there's no sadness on their faces. Because watching young birds leave the nest is not something to grieve over. She had a very long nightmare. Her body was torn apart, broken down, and then put together again. Supporting such a fragmented body, she lingered in the endless darkness until she forgot what she even looked like. In the haze, someone persuaded her to give up. If she were to give up, she would no longer continue to suffer. If she were to give up, she would not have to continue to face hell. Was anything left unfinished? She could not remember. It was as if she had already faded from existence. No, that cannot be. Don't strain your mind with trying to work the strange business out. At a convenient moment, which will be soon, I'll explain everything and all these strange occurrences will become clear. A name passed through her mind. Although she could not recall the exact name, she missed it from the bottom of her heart. Then a beam of light pierced the eternal night. The darkness was like a curtain, tearing from where the light shined and slowly opening from both sides. Suddenly, her senses return. She slowly props up her upper body from the barren ground. She lifts her head and opens her eyes. The sun hangs in the vast blue sky. It is no longer the fiery ball of light and space that incinerates everything. The atmosphere makes it bless all life on earth equally. It is so gentle that people forget all their sadness. Here she sees sunlight for the first time, breathes her first gust of wind, and steps out onto the earth for the first time. Who is she? Why is she here? Nothing matters anymore. She only wants to tell you all the miracles she saw along the journey. Did she actually just... Okay. Did she just casually start waking up? And Mike now leave this place after all? Oh my god. Huh. Well, I guess we'll continue. Whatever happens now. It was an early afternoon when Kamui accidentally discovered a slightly swollen metal can in Wangshi's storage. It reminded Wangshi of his distant past. Okay. Complete point of view switch. Wanshi, why did you put such a strange tasting can in your maintenance capsule? Strange tasting can? Oh no. You ate it? Not even Kamu could have choked that down. I could smell it a mile away. I thought your recovery room had been raided by mustard gas. Kamu's noisy voice projected from the direction of Wangshi's recovery room. Through the open door of the recovery room, Wangshi sees the cans that he had put in a cabinet. Kamui accidentally discovered a slightly swollen metal can in Wangshi's storage. It reminded Wanshi of his distant past. Broken stone slabs and steel bars stand in the ruins. Smoke and dust in the air cast an oppressive haze on the area. The surrounding craters speak to the kind of devastation wrought on this land. Oil flows quietly along the terrain, filling craters along the way and finally gathering in recesses on the street. A pair of military boots step into a puddle, causing black ripples to disturb the oily surface. The ripples bump into a mechanical arm, submerged in the oil. Right at that moment, the mechanical arm seems to receive a signal, steering it from silence. It twitches wildly, grabbing onto the surrounding wreckage as it tries to free its broken limbs from the crushing weight of the ruins. Finally, its attempt at dragging itself out is ended by the dull thud of a gunshot. Looks like there are some stragglers. I thought all of the corrupted near the southern defensive line were alerted by the large-scale cleanup and suppression operation led by the egrets. What the heck are the egrets? The shooter slings the rifle on his shoulder while it's still cooling down, then looks down at the corrupted he had just stopped from moving. Wanshi, the fire I'm looking for is still isn't popping up on the scan. What about you? Still yawning. Come on, is that you yawning again? Are you walking or what? You could say that. Wanshi? Wanshi? Damn it, he fell asleep again. Forget it, I will just... Troy, you should probably lie down for a second. Hearing a sudden sound on the silent comms, the construct known as Troy performs a tactical roll to the side, avoiding a burst of air as it ruptures by his ear. It was the sound of an attack from a large corrupted suddenly appearing in front of Troy. Building debris and the remains of smaller corrupted fall off its torso. As Troy raises his gun and aims at the large corrupted, a silver orb of light fires from the direction where he last stood. Following the blast, the corrupted begins to disintegrate from one of its arms. The mechanical joint shatters into fragments and splashes into the oil-filled crater. Finally, a silver orb of light penetrates the fractured memory shell, tearing off to the side. It falls backward from the inertia of the impact, leaving mechanical residue on the ground. Another bites the dust. Take 5. Troy gets up and looks back. He sees Wanshi, who is standing on the overlooking precipice off in the distance, stretch his arms and then lay down lethargically. Hey, knock it off! Quit sleeping on the job. Relax, that was the last one. What makes you say that? While you were running around looking for the data files, I was here scanning for enemies and taking them out. I didn't even have to move an inch. Quick and easy. Fine, whatever. Troy sighs, then climbs over a structure and continues to search the ruins. Anyway, the ruins sure are quiet. Hey Wanshi, when did you join Strikehawk? Now that you're awake, I figured I'd ask where I still had a chance. You've been dozing on and off, so I didn't want to bother. Huh. Doze off again? It just happened by some weird twist of fate. Perhaps due to Wangshi's sudden response over the comms, or because he was not expecting that answer. Either way, Troy slips while climbing the crumbling wall to the ruins. Right as Troy's about to fall off the wall, he hears the revving of an engine underfoot. A faint white light appears underneath him, steadily catching him in midair. Phew, scared me there for a second. What is that white light what is it? Troy pats his chest with a free hand, then places his feet back on a sturdy section of the crumbling wall. After regaining his footing, he continues to climb. Fate, huh? That's nice. I heard that scouts don't have to go to the front line. That's why I joined. Are you a member of Strikehawk? Oh no, you're a scout. Okay, whatever. But you Strikehawk are in a league of your own. Like some sort of elite team? Of course! What scout hasn't heard of Strikehawk? But don't elite teams usually have a human called, a commandant? That's just an ordinary elite team. Don't you know who your captain is? Apparently not. Chrome is a perfect construct equipped with a specialized info device who's responsible for serving as the team's commandant. Oh, and the other Strikehawks are equally 1 in a million. Any mission with Strikehawk is virtually guaranteed to be a success. You don't say. I just thought here was something special about our captain, Kami. How could you be so oblivious to all of this? You don't know how much I envy you. As for me, my combat ability is ordinary as they come. All I can do is run fast and keep my mouth shut. That's why Commander Nikolai assigned me to this mission. Honestly, I might not be afraid to fight corrupted, but I won't be first in line to fight them head on. So, thanks for the help just now. It was nothing. No need to be so modest. It was an honest compliment, just take it. After climbing to the top of the crumbling wall while chatting with Wanshi, Troy can now scan the large area below. Troy sees patches of corrupted and human remains piled up on the ground, alluding to a tragic battle that had taken place here. Troy bows his head in a moment of silence, then jumps down from the crumbling wall and continues onward. Surely enough, the city was lost during the post-pandemic age too. But seems like this bloodbath here are the real reason I won't step foot on the front line. It's ridiculous that soldiers pay their lives in exchange for a total retreat. We're supposedly bound by duty to carry out orders. But every time I see these scenes, I still can't help ask these questions from the bottom of my heart. However, the answers to these questions are even more troubling. Troy smiled somberly, then tapped the position of his temple, causing a fluorescent panel to pop up in front of his eyes. It's not here either. What are you looking for anyway? Wanshi, when will this endless war end? I don't know. What a pity. If one person dies on the battlefield, they are a hero. 10 people, they are martyrs. 1 million people, they are just a statistic. True that. We already sacrificed so many people. Is it true that our mission will only truly be complete once we achieve victory and humanity has taken back Earth? I don't know. But I had a dream about us winning the war recently. A spark spreads from a faint orb of light, igniting change all around the world. Finally, the spark ignites the entire Earth, but gradually fades after burning. Even if we win a temporary victory against the corrupted, the punishing virus won't be eradicated so easily. It was just a dream though. It's just not a dream. The punishing virus has caught us off guard more than once. Just as human beings have spent millions of years building their own civilization on the surface of Earth, the punishing virus is also adapting and corrupting the land in its own way. If we don't find a way to eradicate it, when conditions such as environment and time align, one day the punishing virus will evolve into an existence beyond our comprehension. But at least it hasn't come to that yet, has it? It's always best to plan ahead. But we still need to live in the present, right? Sure. The comlink becomes silent again. The fogs fill the minds of Troy and Wanshi. They continue to perform their respective tasks in radio silence. Radio silence, my god. Okay. Oh my god, it's a gameplay mission. Those exist? Looks like the battle here was especially brutal. Even the foundation is deformed. After confirming that there are no signs of life up ahead, Troy puts down his scope and walks out of the corner of the ruins. Wanshi, everything checks out on my side. I'm going to head down the tilted foundation and investigate. Alright. I've positioned myself in a vantage point nearby. Wow, that was fast. That just means I can kick up my feet sooner. Troy checks Wangshi's coordinates on his panel, then looks up to see a sniper rifle nestled within a hole in the wall above. Wanshi leans up against the wall and yawns. You've even set up your weapon. Now I can count on you. Troy leaps forward and arrives at the cluster of buildings under the deformed foundation. But you noticed this too, didn't you? The marker for the file we've been looking for is flashing in the ruins. We'll finish our mission once I collect it. Copy that. Let me check the scan. Alright, I should be able to enter from here. 2 collapsed stone slabs on the left and right support each other, forming a space just big enough for one person to enter and exit. Troy kneels down under the stone slabs and steps into the dark ruins in front of him. However, just as Troy wants to move on, he comes into contact with something hard. Huh? My panel isn't showing anything on the display. Who the heck is that? Excuse me, outsiders are not permitted to enter. Who's there? Troy, get out of there. A strong shock interrupts Troy's conversation with Wanshi. The building ruins that Troy entered suddenly shake violently. Who the fuck says "excuse her"? Rubble and steel bars collapse for the second time. Troy and debris fly out of the collapsed ruins and hit the opposite building, stirring up a cloud of smoke and dust. Who are you? A dark figure exits the collapsed ruins. The mechanical ruiner of machine parts. I'm not even sure. Of machine parts can be heard coming from his torso. Wanshi's vision model can only detect an intricate machine and a head tightly bandaged as if out of punishment or atonement. That doesn't look. Or maybe you can see bandages. But Wanshi and Troy's panels pick up nothing on the scan. The Babylonian equipment is useless in identifying the figure. No corrupted response, no construct response. Not ever a human response. The flashing lights on their scanners indicate that the equipment is operating normally. The position where the figure stands is devoured by thick hardness. Even light cannot escape. The moonlight and remaining light within the ruins does not reflect any color. But doesn't that just indicate that he's a normal machine? If he's not human, not a construct, not corrupted? This is the first time I've seen someone this strange. Really? Troy. Wanshi, I'm okay. That thing has what we need. The dark figure inserts a chip into its chest, causing the mission icon to flash on the display panels. Seems like we have our eyes on the same file. Unfortunately, I cannot let you have it. I went through tremendous effort to unlock the store's encrypted lock. Who are you? Just an insignificant gear. My job is to ensure that all operations run smoothly. The dark figure replies and walks toward Troy, who fell on the ruins. The gravel at its feet vibrates with each step like a pounding drum. It's over. I read too much. I can't read anymore. Step away from him. Wanshi quickly rappels down as he empties his clip. Silver lights rain down on the shadow, only to be deflected in the air by blue light. Is this Fred? Gear ? It seems that you can't simply die without pain. Troy, hold on. Outsiders must be purged. Okay. Wait, I fought you. In a normal war. Somewhere. I need to move away from it first. Sure. Run away. Show me what other tricks you have. From this distance. What am I supposed to click? What am I doing? I feel like I messed this up. Ah, okay, I should aim. Maybe I should aim. God, I'm bad at this. I feel like I'm not understanding what the game wants me to do. I'm supposed to shoot its body, not its head? Why do? I feel like he's more affected than we are. Oh, you're nimble one. Sure. What am I doing? Is that all? I'm getting bored. This is certainly a weird thing to do. It's over. Very well, I'm getting sleepy. You will sleep forever. But looks like you're the one to fall asleep first. Looks like. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time's up. I can't move. What have you done? Just some trivial work. Impossible. Good night, big fella. Why is he so cool? I'm coming right now, Troy. I hear you. Sorry to trouble you again. He is not dead, is he? Wait, did I say it's over? What? Is that all that you've got? Of course! He just one-shots me. When or not then, bloody humans. Kia, that's just his name now. Kia grabs Wanshi by his head and lifts him off the ground. As I was saying, what are you fighting for? Wangshi's lips move faintly, spitting out vital fluid on the gear. Fluid, okay. That confused me. He cannot see the figure's expression, but he can see that the light source on its body gradually changes from fluorescent to dark red. Ah, how blasphemous and banal. Gear slowly lifts up Wanshi, then throws him onto the ground, cracking the ground from the force of the impact. Wangshi's body slightly bounces into the air from the impact. Just as he's about to land, Gear catches him by the left leg. Endeavors deprived of faith are merely mundane shells, vulnerable and meaningless. How disappointing. Gear speaks, slamming Wanshi to the ground on both sides like a doll in the hands of a child. Gear lifts Wanshi above its head, then slams him down again. You may be weak, but you still manage to withstand the beating, foolish one. This continues for some time, but the thrashing from Gear appears to be slowing. Gear looks down at Wanshi's clenched within his right hand to discover that it is covered in a layer of frost. Due to the numbing cold of the frost, it had no idea that a layer of ice had formed. Although it is not thick, the ice affects its ability to control its limbs. Wanshi lifts his right leg and delivers a powerful kick to Gear's forearm. Coupled with the numbing frost on the joint of its right hand, Wanshi is finally able to free himself from its clamp. After seeing Wanshi break away, Gear immediately swings his left hand to catch his prey again. Falling to the ground, Wanshi shoots a silver orb of light at Gear's head. Right as the orb of light is about to land a direct hit, Gear turns its head at an awkward angle and deflects the shot. Barely grazing the armor on its cheek with a trail of glistening sparks, the beam of light, I assume, shoots into the sky. Is that all? Trivia scum. Grievously wounded, Wanshi smirks as if to indicate that the attack was not as trivial as Gear was led on to believe. It quickly turns to look in the direction of the orb of light. It turns to discover Troy, which it had previously sent flying, floating in the air. Only once Troy firmly wraps the orb of light around its hand does Gear see the attack's true form. Why does it sound like Wanshi is some sort of magician? I'm not sure what these floating orbs of light are supposed to be. It is a silver conical claw attached to a transparent composite rope. This thin rope, which is now attached to Gear's frozen right hand, is connected to a snare gun wielded by Wanshi. Sleep tight. Wanshi tosses the snare gun behind Gear and quickly walks to the side. Flying behind the enemy, the snare quickly wraps around Gear and tightly ensnares his limbs. Once the snare gun completely secures Gear, it transforms into a square sheet and adheres tightly to the back of Gear, preventing it from freeing itself. At the same time, Troy grabs the silver claw and flies over a raised section of the ruins, then quickly descends to the other side. Troy's injuries cause him to collapse onto the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust and smoke around him. The thin rope hoists Gear up, leaving it hanging in the air. That must be some robust rope, oh my god. Dragging his left leg, Wanshi limps over to Troy and helps him up. Troy plants the claw into the floor, then Wanshi drops a frost grenade next to the claw. Why does Wanshi and Troy leave? The grenade activates and freezes the claw to the floor of the ruins. Did you just leave him there? Looks like our equipment won't hold out much longer. Have you relayed all of the enemy intel? No, I can't seem to send it. Seems like something in the air is jamming our signal with Babylonia. Troy points up, but as Wanshi looks in the direction of his finger, all that can be seen is a thick cover of night that has imprisoned the entire area in darkness. Moonlight tries to pierce the dense layer of clouds, but only a dim glimmer of light reaches the ground. Nothing on the scanner. Maybe it's the same composition as that thing back there. Initiate emergency evac plan. See the fog up ahead? Let's split up there. Then meet back at the evac point. Alright, got it. Sync up the time. 0043. 0043. No problem. ETA for the evac point is 3 hours. Give each other a 5-minute window. Switch comes to stealth mode in 5 minutes to prevent us from being followed. After Wanshi gives the two of them basic first aid, they lean up against the corner of the building separating their paths. The air is so quiet that they can hear their breathing. Signal off. Entering stealth mode. Dito. After the final confirmation, Troy and Wanshi get up and break off in different directions. Right then, Wanshi hears Troy's voice coming from behind him. Wanshi, don't get yourself killed. Right back at you. After saying goodbye, they part ways in the moonlight and walk towards the dark ruins before them. The ice crystals begin to gradually melt under the high temperature generated by Gear. Clenching its right fist, Gear breaks the composite rope and snaring its body and smashes it into the ground with a heavy thud. I don't speak that language. Dannazione? Run if you so dare, wretched fools. Preparations must still be made for the path that will lead us to Sage. Sage. I'm trying to remember if we heard that before. Probably. Oh, is it the Sage Machina? After losing its counterweight, the rope snaps and falls limply to the ground. Gear throws the composite rope still clinging to its body aside and looks in the direction in which Troy and Wanshi had left. This might take longer than anticipated, but all potential threats must be eliminated. Wanshi arduously makes his way through the abandoned city and crater-filled streets. Did we grab the intel, by the way? And which one of us has it, if that's the case? Moonlight cascades on the broken buildings, casting overlapping shadows like the tenebrous depths of a lake. The night breeze passes through an open building and blasts Wanshi with hot wind and gravel. Ravaged by war, buildings throughout the city have toppled to their foundation. Some are no longer covered by roofs, others are now only empty shells. The disjointed buildings that still remain standing appear ready to collapse at the slightest gust of wind and sand. The monotonous scenery continues to extend in front of Wanshi. No matter where he goes, he sees similar ruins. Looks like the painkillers have stopped working. painkillers. Sorry, the painkillers just threw me off. The dominant pain begins to resurface, disrupting each of his data circuits. The severe pain causes Wanshi to stumble to the ground. Are they actually using painkillers? I don't know, that seems kind of redundant. But I assume they can turn off their pain receptors at will? Wanshi, now's not the time for a nap. Keep going or else Chrome's gonna yell at you again. But I'm spent. Wangshi's eyesight begins to tremble slightly. The sound of the wind in his ears becomes distant. He feels himself drift away from the void like the sensation just before falling asleep. Now's not the time to sleep. I can't. Who are you? Right as Wanshi's body is about to forcibly shut down his vision module due to his injuries, a figure appears before him. Who? A human? No. I must first... The stranger walks closer, but his voice becomes more distant. All Wanshi can feel is endless darkness. Who the heck are you? Oh no, now I understand why this doesn't add up to the numbers. Because only battle missions count towards that. I see. I would very much love to know who that person is, but I can't read anymore. I need to take a break. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.